And on this episode of Digging In With Cody, it's the very first episode, I'm gonna have a sit-down interview with the people at Meat on the Street here in the historic Pabst Brewery place. So, you know what? Let's get the thing started. Enough talk from me. Let's get to it. When Meat on the Street started in 2014, this was the first food truck. Through hard work and creating great food, they evolved their truck into this work of art. Meat on the Street definitely delivers on the philosophy of food is love, as they dish out signature, delicious Filipino dishes in the Milwaukee area. They're certainly thriving at that as business has been picking up for them. Filipino food is rare around Wisconsin, matter of fact, and these guys are absolutely killing it. And today I'm going to be trying out staples of Filipino cuisine. They're a little busy right now, so I can't take you to the back of the kitchen, but we're going to sit down, we're going to talk with them, get to pick the brain of what got them into the culinary business. Let's go.
Well, thanks for coming in today, Cody. Pleasure to have you in. Thanks for reaching out. I'm Matt, co-owner of Meat on the Street. I am chef. That sounded weird, but whatever. I learned all my recipes from my dad growing up, so that's how we got a lot of inspiration for the food. So my dad taught me cooking growing up, so I'd critique his recipes, make it more
business efficient.
Yeah, business efficient, and then my sister as well as my partner.
Yeah, I'm Alex Alfaro. I'm the other co-founder, owner of Meat on the Street. I do a lot more of the business or administrative stuff, and then I also do kind of like number crunching, whether it's prep or banking or balancing of accounts. That, and then I've done a lot of booking of the events and social media.
And I know you guys also have a food truck that you guys run seasonally. Can you tell me a little more about that?
So the food truck was our original concept that we started in 2014. When the food truck first started, it was literally Matt and I, our parents, our baby brother, and then my aunt would help out, and nobody was on payroll. No one got paid. It was a very like family forced volunteer type of job.
Yep.
So it was the two of us in 2014 all the way through 2016, I think, is when we actually hired our first employee. Yeah, I think the first 2 years was just us. So we would literally book all our events, grocery shop, prep all our food, do all the cleanup, go to an event, sell the stuff. So in the beginning, it was literally the two of us on the truck 24/7.
We used to cook on the truck constantly. We didn't have a commissary that we have now. We had a shared kitchen, so we'd have to go back and just constantly cook.
Yeah.
We lived cooking at the beginning of this.
It's really cool that everything's like a family vibe here, because like I was telling him, and what I said in my previous episode here, that it reminds me a lot of my childhood, because my mom's side was Filipino, and I had a lot of this food growing up. Like I was telling him, the garlic rice with the egg in it, all that stuff, the chicken adobo, all that. It was really cool.
That's what we love about Filipino cuisine and why we chose to venture into it is like, for us, we loved eating it because we grew up eating Filipino cuisine.
Family parties.
Yeah.
Dad would cook huge.
Yeah. Like for my graduation, I requested like a pig on a spit. And my mom was like, Lexa, we're not doing that for your high school graduation. I'm like, no, Dad, I really want the pig. And I really just wanted it so I could pick the skin off of it. And it's like the only time my parents would justify like having that for me. But like there's Panset, there was Lumpia. The meat kebabs, my friends like grew up skewering those like in 6th grade. I still have the same set of friends and they laugh because they're like, we used to use bamboo and it's much sharper, so you would literally like bleed. Yep, exactly. And so like they're like, oh my God, I remember we used to sit around your counter doing this with you like till hours of the morning. But like this is also, I think, at least how we spend time with my dad, how we got to know my dad. Matt did a lot of cooking with my dad, and I always did prep. I never was like somebody who wanted to get in the kitchen and cook. But if you need me to roll 1,000 egg rolls, like I'm your girl.
Okay. Oh, so you weren't doing a role like bossing people around?
I liked to boss people around. Yeah. Nowadays, when people are like, "Oh, you're the boss," I'm like, it's the worst title. Like, I'm gonna be honest. It's the glamorized version versus the reality of the title is different. Yeah, in the beginning, I loved to boss people around, and now I'm just like, I don't want to hand out a to-do list today. Can you know what you need to do? You know, I'm like so tired. I don't want to boss anyone around. I just want to deal with myself.
That's the inner Filipino right there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, I would say that my dad, though, he is number 9 of 11, and I don't know. My youngest brother calls him like the gong of the family. So he's a lot like very centered, very calm, very like at the end of the day. So he created a fun cooking environment for us, or a fun like, you know, prep environment. And I think that helped us really find like love within it, where it wasn't like super crazy or chaotic, or he wasn't super strict and stuff. And
he would joke around. He was more strict with school, but when it came into the kitchen, it was like his play area. That was like his playground, where it's like you couldn't mess up unless you literally burned something that he was pissed at you.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing. It sounds silly, but you can tell when a food is made of love, and you know it just like radiates. It sounds silly, but it's a true thing.
Oh, and that's what my dad would say. He was like, you have to make it with love, because like I said, I am not skilled at cooking. I'm skilled at prepping and stuff. Matt's the one who has like a passion for cooking it, right? I can get it to this step, but I cannot get it across.
If it was up to my dad, he would have like the garlic hand peeled down. He would like every single step. We still mill our pepper at house. So when we first started, my dad always wanted us to start everything from scratch. Hand peeling garlic, milling our own pepper. Every step, if he could choose it, it would take one dish would take us a whole day to prep, if he had the choice to do it.
Well, I know about that. My mom would have me do that. She's like, chop the garlic. She's like, press it with the spoon. All that.
And then after that, I was like, all right, Dad, I love you, but we gotta make this simpler so we can produce more food.
Man, like you can't. We're gonna hire someone to peel garlic for 40 hours a week. It's not. Filipino food and a lot of the dishes are such a labor of love, and I think that's why like you know good Filipino food from non-good Filipino food, because like when it's made like the very traditional OG Filipino way, where you eye measure and you measure things with your knuckles and stuff. It has to have a labor of love in there, because there's so many meticulous steps, right? And then you want to take it, you want to make it into a business, and you want to mass produce it, you want to be able to pay your staff a fair wage, you want to get paid out. All of a sudden, all these different things that like don't factor into when you make lumpia for fun in your home versus for profit in the real world, it's such a difference, right? And those are the bridges that we had to cross with my dad, where it's like, garlic's gotta come pre-peeled, we'll mince it all in-house. Like, we have to find little shortcuts here to save on money, to save on prep time, but we still wanted to hold true to that like taste that you get from like your Lola or your Nanai's kitchen.
When we grew up eating good food, we've always loved good food, so it's like if we're gonna serve something, we want it to have the good taste behind it, because I won't eat something bad. I don't know about others, but if I don't enjoy it, I'm like, I don't want this.
Especially for your guys' name on the business, it's your reputation at stake. And you guys are doing a very good job.
Thank you.
And it's funny, you brought up the hand measuring thing. Whenever we cook rice, we would always fill the, I put our hand right on top of the rice, and the water comes up to here. And as soon as it starts boiling, we put the cover on and turn on low. So I know exactly where you guys are coming from.
Oh, having recipes with him for a while was like, well, sprinkle of this, a dash of that, a couple of these, and I'm like, Dad, we need like a half cup, a gram, what do we got here? And he's, and it would take time, because like to get a good recipe, it was like, all right, this is too much pepper, too much salt, too much garlic, vinegar.
And then he like had this habit of like writing them on Post-it notes. So like a lot of our original recipes, no, I tossed them all, but they would be like 4 Post-it notes, and it's like Filipino food, so it's like, yet again, a lot of ingredients, a lot of notes, and it's on a, we're like, dude, there's paper everywhere. Like you couldn't write it on a bigger sheet. It's like literally Post-it notes.
Like
and
the Panset would have different steps on each
and then you
Post-it.
needed to like find which Post-it note went next, and we were like, Dad, like you're making it so hard. It's just like him and who he is.
That's like the worst part, because the sticky notes lose the stickiness and it falls on the floor and you can't find something.
Exactly, and you're like, wait, was this number 3? Was this number 5? And you're like trying to read his kitchen scratch writing, and you've used the recipe so many times, it's got like food on it, and it's been like altered, and it's just like, no, we need to like digitize all of this. So now everything's like on a cloud. It gets like audited every 6 months. You know, anytime our staff makes a change, they know they gotta write it and give it to somebody so it can get updated. But like in the beginning, it was like a true family business in those ways.
Well, like
It was
eating garlic rice till what, 4 years in? I finally was
oh
forced
yeah,
to, like, get a
Matt
garlic
was the
rice.
only one who made garlic rice for the first 4 years.
So
there was no recipe.
I would eyeball
yeah,
everything.
with
I'd
measure.
be in the truck constantly making it, where I was like, yeah, this seems like enough, and I tasted it, I was like, all right, good,
Yeah.
send it out.
Yeah.
But then she's like, you need a recipe. I hate doing recipes.
We have some here, and I'll leave it to these guys to explain it.
Yeah, so this first one here, this was our OG bestseller, and I call it the OG dish of the Philippines. It's a slow-cooked pork adobo with soy sauce, vinegar, bay leaves, whole peppercorns, served over a garlic fried rice. This some days still reigns supreme in its popularity. So this is a very good dish. This is such a simple dish. It's literally rice and pork. It's such a comforting dish too. So if it's people's first time, this is one of my recommendations. Next over here, These kebabs right here, this is the first menu item we had on the truck. When we first opened in 2014, it was kebabs, white rice, garlic rice, pancet. That was it. There was nothing else you could get. And now there's like 15 menu items. There's too many. But these were the OG menu item, and this is kind of like what started the whole concept. So it's just a meat kebab, a shish kebab. It's grilled meat kebabs, and it's marinated in a family recipe that's got a little bit of citrus in it, got some garlic, hints of pepper as well too. And then underneath it is gonna be pancet. So this is pancet bihon. There's a bunch of different versions of pancet. And what that is it's a thin rice noodle dish, and it's got veggies. Sometimes they'll have shrimp. Ours has chicken in it. And the point of pancet and like its representation in like many Asian cuisines is we keep the noodles long and we serve it either during Christmas or birthdays because it represents longevity of life. So that's like the concept of it. And last but not least, these are my favorite, and like literally I could eat 20 of them in a sitting. These are our Lumpia Rolls. We always recognize lumpia as the super skinny ground pork egg roll. There's a lot of variations. A big part of that is like the Philippines is made up of 7,000 islands. Every island, every region cooks their food a little bit different. So there's so many variations of, you know, these dishes right here. So like my dad's, what, 1 of 11. Every single one of them cooks pancet differently. I only eat his. I don't like the rest of them. There's too much fish sauce. There's too much. I don't like. They use weird noodles. I don't know. But like, I literally won't eat any of theirs. And this is, you know, his mom, our Lola. They all got taught by the same person. But like, they all have variations of how they make the food. So like, that's something that I don't think we talk about a ton. And sometimes we catch heat for. It's not like my Lola's, and it's like, well, no, because I didn't grow up with your Lola. I grew up with mine and my dad. But we try to really keep the authenticity of the food, and the flavor profile is super important to us too.
So this the garlic rice right here. It's my childhood. You got it's the pork, correct?
Yep.
With it.
Yep, the pork adobo.
I can't even pick it up. Yeah, meat's so tender, guys. And the seasoning has a bit of a sweetness to it. You guys were saying. And you guys use some herby notes in the rice, correct? Also.
Yeah, there's salt, pepper, bay leaves in there. Yeah, garlic.
Vinegars, soy sauce.
Yeah.
It's one of our only gluten dishes actually on the menu. We have a bunch of gluten-free dishes too.
It's the stuff that.
It's comfort food, right? It just
It
like
is.
reminds you of
It's like a
home.
perfect side. Because my mom would always make like chicken and everything. And then she'd always have garlic rice. She'd have pancit with it.
Yeah.
And then we covered these on the channel before. You have the chicken, you got the beef, and you got the pork. I'll do it again. Stare into the camera. The chicken here. I love how you guys cook the chicken here. You could see.
So it's dark meat. That's like a big part of it. People are always like.
Now people are like dark meat, white meat. Dude, it's chicken. I'm just gonna eat it.
Yeah, I know. And like we are not white meat eaters. Our mom is, you know, bless her heart, she's from here, she's Italian, so that's that side of us, but like none of us eat white meat. There's just no, like, I don't even like really like boneless meat. Like, it's fine, but like I want the bone, I want the flavor, I want the marbling, yeah.
The bone marrow that seeps into the meat and it adds to the flavor.
Yeah, it's just like having like boneless chicken wings even. I'm just like, oh God, that's so lazy. Like, you need the bone in.
You hear that? Boneless chicken wings, we're not a fan of it.
No.
So all you people eating it and judging me, it's bad on you. Alright?
No, you need. So growing up, we would go out for chicken wings a lot. My dad liked to do it, and what he would do is he would crack the wings in half and then suck the bone marrow. And when you're like in middle school or younger and you have friends out to eat, you're like, oh my God, my dad is so foreign. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, Dad, why do you do that? And he just like waves me off. Like that Filipino, like, Alexa, you're not gonna tell me how to eat my food. And I'm like, Dad, this is so embarrassing. And now I'm like, doesn't matter where we are, I'm like gnawing on the bone. I'm like stealing other people's bones and gnawing on it. So now I've become my father in a way. But like growing up, I was like mortified he would do this. But like as an adult, I'm like, it's so good. Or like, I don't like when people like eat chicken wings and they leave meat on the chicken wing. I'm like, please don't. I can't go out to eat with you if you do this. You're just like making me stress out. Yeah.
You just like stare at it.
Yeah.
You just like feel intensified. Like, nah. And these are the beef skewers. What type of cut do you guys use with the beef?
It's a tenderloin. All our meat comes in from Pritzloff Meat, so we have a good vendor. We don't hand cut.
Yeah, so like talk about business and like we're really trying to move towards automation in a sense that obviously finding staff right now is like a whole different ball game than it's ever been. It already was challenging for this industry, and now it's only been even more challenging. So one of the things we moved to doing a couple years ago, probably 3-4 years ago now.
Yeah.
It's like we couldn't. The truck gets so busy in summer, we can't keep up with demand, and so we do so much meat cutting in house. It was like literally we could have opened up a meat processing plant, but we found a vendor who was willing to cut all of the meat. So all of our meat comes in pre-cut. The kebabs, the meat's already cut. So we've really moved from cutting out meat to outsourcing that, and now it's just marinating and cooking. And it just has like helped like alleviate so much for our staff. We're able to hold a vendor accountable, and like the cost difference, I mean, it's so much cheaper because we're not having to rely on staff. Like, hey, do you know how to break down meat? And then it's like, you would process meat for 60 hours straight in that kitchen, and then my dad would have to come in and help because it was literally so freaking busy. Yes, when we first hired staff, we're like, okay, he used to come in here a lot more. Now, not as much, and he like misses it. He always wants to come down and hang out or whatever. He loves when we call him in. My mom's like, he lives to be like called in to like help us. We're like, Dad, we need help today. But when we first got staff, we told them like, hey, my dad's gonna come in. He's gonna tell you you're doing something wrong. He's gonna change something. Like if you're not comfortable saying like, hey, Matt and Alexa told me that actually things need to come through them. You can't just come in and like, you know, tell us what to do type of a thing. Not because you don't know better, but because he'll go through and like redo everything. And it's like, no, Dad, there's a system, there's a process, there's consistency. Sure shit, he'd come in and they'd be like, why did this get done like this? And I'm like, your dad was here and he said this is how we should be doing it, and we didn't have the heart to say anything, so like just a heads up. So it was like,
It's hard to tell.
oh god, no, and especially our staff, like he brings in food for them and he tells them stories and they all love him and he's so sweet and kind, and you know, it's just like
It's a family culture.
yeah, of course you're not gonna tell him no. They're like, I'm not gonna tell him no. I'm like, I get it, but I'll tell him no.
Yeah,
and I'll tell
him
you,
business-wise.
like this is how it goes. So like that was even funny. Even when we had this, it was like, hey, everything has to come through Matt and I. Like, while we love our dad and he means well, like no, you've got to hear it from Matt and I first, okay? So it was so fun. That would happen a lot in the beginning too. And then Dad coming in and changing stuff. He's like, you're not doing it right. And it was just like, oh, yeah.
It's a battle. I love it, Filipino dad.
Yeah, it all came from a place like that.
Yeah, exactly.
The pork is very like common meat in like Filipino food. My mom would cook it very often before.
Yeah, so like with it being 7,000 islands, with it being like a developing country, pork and pigs in general are very cheap stock to have, right? They can just throw all the extra food, so there's no waste. Filipinos don't like to waste in general, but they can give that obviously to the pig, and then a pig can feed a large family. And there are so many, you know, one, it's a religious country, so birth control isn't viewed the same as here, so family planning looks different there. And then two, since it is a developing country and there's more rural areas, some people just don't have access, so they have very large families. They have to be able to feed these families. So fishing is obviously huge because there's so many islands and a lot of water available, and then pork and pigs because it's cheap and it's easy and they can raise them and it goes a very long way. And they use every part of the pig, blood included. Every part is used. Like, yes, and literally everything is used in tradition.
My dad would be knocking on the ear when
the
he
brain, like every part of that pig, nothing goes to waste either, right?
And that's how Filipinos are raised. You know, you're taught to use every part of the animal. It's wasteful.
Yes.
And
yes.
it's honestly seen as like disrespect to
Yes. Yes.
to the wildlife and everything. Love the glaze you guys use. And just a little bit of a sweetness to it.
Yeah. The nice sugar in there, and then like you gotta. I personally like my pork steaks. Like I look for the super fatty ones with all the marbling, and then I just like them. It's not burnt. It's literally just the caramelization of the sugar, and then also the fat getting crispy. Like I like mine like that. Like really like perfectly sizzling crispy.
That nice crust
the
on it.
beef.
Yeah, Matt likes the beef the best.
I'm
I like the beef the second though. I would go pork, beef, chicken.
Beef, chicken, pork.
Panset. This is my every time.
You gotta squeeze the lemon.
You got to.
It's literally elevates it so
And
much.
the lemon and the lime, if it don't look like Mike Tyson just got done with it and punched it, you didn't do it right. See that? I love that because egg noodles are supposed to be chewy. That's supposed to be the texture of them. And it complements the meat so well.
Panset's really popular. I would say our popular one that we can never keep enough on the truck is the garlic rice. Garlic rice is just 80% of the time we'll sell out of the garlic rice, where people are like, are you out? And we're like, yeah, I'm sorry, we
Sometimes
sold out.
it's like sold out within the first 2 hours of an event, and we feel bad, but it's like, dude, we brought like 40 pounds. Like I don't know. There's only
we
so
get, like,
much
4
room.
rice warmers.
Like,
40 pounds?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's just garlic rice, and then some days we can bring another 40 pounds of white rice, and then we can bring 20 to 30 pounds of this, and then there's like salads even,
We
right?
literally sell out of the whole truck at times where it's like hundreds of sticks.
Pre-pandemic, we used to fly through 2,000 sticks in a endless
We'd be
amounts
dropping
of
off food constantly. We'd switch off running and getting more food from
Oh my
here.
God, you used to, yeah. It was
We're calling family if we don't have a runner because we're too busy.
Yeah,
Dad?
yes.
I need your help
Oh
here.
my God, there was one time we're like, Dad, you're on standby. Like, have your phone on you in case
my God.
shit hits the fan. Like, for the love of God, please. This man decides to cut the freaking grass, not hear his phone. Matt and I literally thought we were gonna close the business after this event because it just was such a downward spiral for us. We couldn't figure it out. We couldn't get it together. Things were just it was just
too
one of those
busy for us
events.
to handle.
It was one of those events where all the stars aligned for everything to go wrong very quickly too.
And every
it-
year with that event.
Yeah, and we called him like 18 times, and finally he came, and he's like, "Hey," and we're like, "Ah!" And it was just like, oh my God, it was, yeah. And I was like, no one's gonna eat with us after that event. People were so nice, they were so patient. We're like, they'd be like, oh, I had your preview, man, and I like, we're so sorry, this one's on us. That was like a really rough event for us. Still a little like scarred from it even, but yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
The lumpia, and this is filled with pork.
Yep.
You guys said.
Yep.
Pork and a bunch of seasonings and stuff too.
Yeah.
See that? And this is sweet and sour sauce, correct?
Yep.
House made.
Sweet chili.
That one is not. Yeah, it's like our sweet sour. Our version of sweet and sour, it's technically a sweet chili sauce.
Yeah.
I personally think it's better than sweet and sour. I don't like sweet and sour. So this is like and this is the only sweet chili sauce. Like there's other brands and they all
only
look
use this
similar,
one.
and that is a lie. You have to buy a
We've
certain
tasted
one.
a lot.
Yeah.
I love this because my mom wouldn't make this very often, but she would, and it was always like a special occasion.
Yeah.
She'd
Oh
do it
yeah.
for.
Yeah.
There's so much work to roll.
Yeah. Yeah. Rolling egg rolls.
We'll
is
sell
no
out of those
joke.
all the time here.
Very good. And this is the soy sauce.
That one's our house made. Yeah.
Okay.
Like soy vinegar, green onion, garlic, salt, pepper in there.
It's like a tangy sauce almost.
And this is very good because the tanginess of this really cuts through the hardiness of the meat.
Yeah. It
Get
just
the
helps
crunch.
break everything up. Yeah.
I appreciate you guys for having me. The hospitality's been great. It's nice to be able to connect with fellow Filipinos. You know, there's really not many Filipino places around here. And so it's really good that you guys fill that void. And I really appreciate everything. So thank you guys very much.
Thanks for highlighting it and coming in, chatting
for
with
reaching out,
us.
coming in. It
Yeah,
was a
we
lot of fun.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. And like I said, it is always nice to connect with Filipinos, and especially when you grew up in a house eating Filipino food all the time, right? To like emulate that, to create that nostalgia, like it's nice to do it with food and with like companionship.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thanks.
much.
We'll see you next time.
And for sure, I'll be back.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
for
Thank
everything.
you.
Take care.
And I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was nice to sit down with Alexa and Matt. Meet on the street. They're doing a hell of a job and they're killing it. Social media and all that in the description down below. If you guys are interested, any inquiries, hit me up. We could definitely set something up. You never know where I end up next, so stay tuned.